Now, there's one of two ways you can look at this. Either like, oh my, human, like, let's, you know what I mean? You take priority here. Or if you're the kind of person who's going to love and care for an animal, that never happens. I'm worried all of a sudden now, I find myself, rock mother, I would give it to you. But I'm not, and I'm waiting to find out if O&E's going to call or not. And so, like, at the end of the day, like, you're going to die in my lap now, dog. But it's just like, I can't do it. Like, I cannot do it. And those are the only scenarios that run through my mind. But once I had the animal and I loved it, am I the kind of person that I would go without in order so my animal had? Yes. Once I love that thing, I am totally that guy. This list is long. Apparently, we like our products, and apparently there is one thing you want more than anything if you find yourself in financial hardship, and you're never willing to let it go. And I think a lot of people are psyche because you're there. On Rock 108. Yeah, the period. I think it'd be a net positive for you. Anyway, man, we may dig Connor up tomorrow. We were talking about it. I said, Matt found me on my ex at I guess that's at Stansbury Show there. And he said, yeah, no, Heinz ketchup is the only ketchup there is. He's showing me a plate riding shotgun in his work truck right now. And it is 2 corn dogs with a little ramekin there. That's the side cup. Corn dogs at 7:25 in the morning is and having hot dogs on hand. I think more ballpark should have the corn dog. I think it's an easier eat. Never mind. Let's not get sidetracked on the corn dogs. But I'm a fan. We were running you through some recession-proof stuff. I think that's one of those things. People were joking and telling the truth all at the same time. Gas, obviously, because you need to get back and forth again. Cleveland19.com telling me that this last Memorial Day weekend that we just had, gas was the lowest it's been in 3 years. I think that ultimately that's probably good for you. They say, oh, this is interesting. Quality butter. Now, if you are a chef or like cooking is a little bit more of what you do, there's about 3 things when you get old. You're excited about the vacuums, air fryers, and that Saturday morning bagel you get, right? That's it. Those are your wins, right? And so when I've used it for that, it's been good. Not so good that when I went back to the store the next time I made sure I paid the extra money. Butter is absolutely, somebody, and I think you'll be able to figure out who, got me moved on to Gain at some point, right? That's what she used, and that's what's good, and that's what smells good, and you should just use that. And so I got moved over to Gain, okay? I think, okay, there's a brand out there, more often than not, they are less expensive than some other brands. And they are perceived to be less than. And I'm not so sure that they are. And that brand is Arm & Hammer. Arm & Hammer's products like laundry detergent, usually pretty good and a lot less money. Their deodorants are usually pretty good and a lot. That's excessive even for me, but there's a lot. Arm & Hammer's body washes are better than people I think would give credit for me. That's normally what's in my gym bag because they have a 3-in-1. And you know what I mean? It's well, I'm not taking my good one to the gym, right? It's kind of that thing. But those products, it's so much. It's kind of like how I always say this about, I am a person who should go to the dollar store to buy my, napkins and paper and that kind of stuff a little bit more often than I do. Garbage bags, probably that kind of stuff that I do. Right? Then it's they're right across the street from one another. Yes, I know it's convenient, but this and that. But that is a way, forget a recession. That's a way I should make my life less expensive day in and day out. That way, when a recession does hit, I worry about it less than some other people do. Right? That's exactly what I should do. I don't even, other than Kerrygold, I don't even know what the hell good butter would be. That's strange. All right. The number one thing people said they cannot give up, no matter what, is toiletries, soap, shampoo, conditioner, quality skincare. These are all kind of underneath this umbrella. And I want to say, then why the hell are there so many memes reminding people to put on deodorant in the summer? Right? But it's because one smelly person can overtake the whole public space. That's why. It's one rotten apple spoils it for the entire bunch. And that's probably why. I want to say people are lying about this, but I'm thinking probably not. I mean, when people could not get to their haircuts and when they could not get to their salons and stuff, people freaked out about that. And then we were able to catch a bunch of hypocrites, weren't we? Who told you if you went anywhere, you're gonna kill grandmas, you're gonna kill grandma. And then every senator found their ass in some salon.
The Stansberry Show.
He's insane. Sleep with him.
On Rock 106.9.
We had talked about recession-proof items. And somebody who had been polled had talked about good butter. I was like, I don't even know what that is. Like, brand-wise, I don't know what a good butter would be. Kerrygold pops to the front of my mind. And the reason is because it's the only butter that's ever really tried to... Like, there is no Grey Poupon of butter. Right? Grey Poupon was like, hey, we're nice mustard. Or whatever the hell. You know what I mean? Like, they were like, they tried that, and it worked. And it kind of worked, right? It was like this, this different thing. Kerrygold, I've seen it. I've seen it advertised a little, not as much as you'd think. And I've had it, and it's delicious. I didn't necessarily go out of my way to buy it again, price-wise, just because, like, again, I'm not necessarily a chef or a cook like that. And so, like, I don't know if I'm going to notice. Now, Brian found me at the Facebook, these Stansberry shows, like, man, former dairy farmer here. He goes, there is a different score of butter. In America, most of your score is around 80. In Europe, it's almost all 82. Now, that doesn't sound that different to me, but I guess I don't know how the scoring system for butter works. My guess is it's going to be a little bit more than it may sound. He says it has to do with the butter and the fat content, right? He goes, that's where your flavor comes from. And we all know, I mean, even people who don't cook at all, you've heard that, right? Fat is flavor. And there's no denying that. He says European butter, in fact, does taste better. Okay, well, I've spent absolutely zero time in Europe, but I've heard this, that if you go over there, you can eat an entire pizza and you feel great. And you eat one here and it feels like you're going to die. And more than enough people have lived internationally, traveled, and this and that, and people have noticed that the food, yes, the availability here, and, like, how did you make it taste like this? Like, we do that, but as far as, like, the quality goes, we don't give a damn what we feed people here. You know what I mean? And that's true. I mean, it's true. So, okay, I buy that because... All right, a product that I would notice this more in and have noticed it more in, Brian, is also dairy. But I feel like you can notice this difference in ice cream. Now, ice cream would not be on my recession list. I like it. It's not necessarily my favorite snack, but I don't buy it often. So when I buy an expensive ice cream brand. It's, yes, out of Oregon. They're called Tillamook, and they make cheese and, actually their beef jerky is really good. But their cheese is great, and Tillamook makes the best ice cream ever. I mean, it is so freaking good. And part of the reason is that you can tell the cream and the fat content in it is higher than some others. We'll get a little sidetracked here, but I told you I bought a store brand, like triple vanilla in one carton. It was like Neapolitan, but it was all vanilla. It was like French vanilla, old-fashioned vanilla, and then like vanilla bean in one carton. I love that. I love it. But it's store-bought. It's store brand. So it still gets a little like that ice chippy thing. You know what I mean? You need to really have it melt down a little bit before it starts to get that cream type texture in it. Tillamook, you don't. You open it, and dude, even when it's spoon bender hard still, it comes off as a very cream-based ice cream. It's delicious. And then all of a sudden then, when you don't eat the entire carton in 5 minutes, and you kind of, and you eat the way a person should, you realize there's a reason why I splurge on this versus having it in the freezer every week. There's a reason why every now and again I gotta have it and I splurge because it's that much better. It is. I literally just had it over the weekend, and that's what made me think of it. And yes, this is how fat I am. I wanted to see if I was right, so I bought the 3 Tillamook vanillas. I bought the French vanilla, the vanilla bean, and the old-fashioned. French vanilla and old-fashioned vanilla ice cream. French vanilla just uses more food coloring. They're lying. That's a conspiracy. That's big vanilla, and I have caught them, and I have caught them in their conspiratorial ways. I have caught them. French vanilla and old-fashioned vanilla, same thing. They just colored one up a little bit, sell it in a different thing, and you're fine, right? Like I'm convinced I have that right. But yes, you can totally tell the difference in the ice creams there. Now, I will tell you, most people that reached out to me said, I'm with you. What the hell is good butter? What the hell is good butter? See, I think Big Butter's got to get on this. I think you got to get on this. I think there's a market for this. right? Because, all right, all morning I've talked about how I want Heinz ketchup, and I don't want an off-brand ketchup. You know what a lot of you have said to me? That if you came in here and blindfolded me, that if we did a blind taste test, I think there are a lot of the things that I could give you an opinion, maybe some sodas, maybe some this and that, maybe. Maybe even just the ice cream thing I talked to you about. Maybe you could fool me with that one. I'm telling you right now, I would know the ketchup. I might not know them all. I might not know all the, sodas and this, that I think I might know. That one, I don't think I know it. I know it. They taste that different to me. Kind of like how Miracle Whip isn't even freaking close to Mayonnaise. It's not. I took a lot of heat on that. Now, not that much, because most of us are decent, red-blooded, hard-working Americans. And we eat the mayonnaise like we're supposed to, right? Some of you heathens out there, known to be traitorous, selling us all out there with the Miracle Whip, and you got sold on the Tang. The Tang isn't going bad. And, welcome to my industry going, hey, sell them on the downside of it, right? Gotta sell them on that side. That's what happened there. I don't get that one at all. The number one products people said that they could not let go in a recession is cleaning products. Not for your home, but for you. For you. And good. AC/DC. Good. AC/DC. Even songs I don't, love, like Whole Lotta Rosie, still good. He's got the jam. I don't really care for that one. Still pretty good. Now tonight, when I'm sitting on my couch, I'm like, no, all right, I'm in. But right now I do kind of feel it. Did pass out some tickets. I know for sure, because my boss feels like strangling one of you. Don't worry, it's not you. I know exactly who it is, and I knew when I picked up the phone, I was like, oh, good hell. He's going to be, and sure enough, he called me last night. He said to me, he goes, there is no punishment. He's like, I can't figure it out. He's like, you will pay for this one. I knew when I picked up the phone. I said, I should have just hung up, right? He goes, oh, yeah. He's like, don't do that to me again. All right, fair enough. Don't worry, it ain't you. And this person absolutely does deserve it. But they're going to AC/DC tonight. He was none too happy about that. All right, anyway. You and I got to talking about some recession-proof stuff. And we got a little carried away on the butter and all of this, because I didn't know there was good butter. And I think a lot of people were shocked to find that out. Now, sure enough, from some dairy farmers, I started to hear about, there's a scoring system. And apparently here in the States, most of what we get is in 80, Brian told us. And that over in Europe, right, it's getting a little closer to 82 there. And then, I brought up, ice cream, you can kind of tell a difference in Tillamook. And then Andy was like, oh, dude, he's like, check this guy out, the TDF. Let me see here. Right? It's, the TDF Honest Farming is one of the guys, one of the 60 dairy farmers that contribute to owning Tillamook. And we got into their ice cream and that whole thing, and you could tell a difference. And actually, people started to ask me more recession, like, all right, where are you on this food thing? And Tim wants to know, he's like, all right, dude, I got to know this. He's like, so what's your go-to for mac and cheese? He's like, my wife has to have Kraft. Now, this is probably more about the Heinz thing. I was like, I have a hang-up about ketchup. There's only one, right? I think Kraft macaroni and cheese is literally what you buy in a recession. So here's the thing. I love mac and cheese, right? Okay. Chick-fil-A has a great chicken sandwich. I think people talk about their mac and cheese being better than it is because they have a great chicken sandwich. It's good. It's not as good as their chicken sandwich. That's so all right, so there's a baseline there, right? And Stouffer's mac and cheese is good. It's really good. There's something about Kraft macaroni and cheese that, because that's what I had known mac and cheese to be my entire life, that is what mac and cheese is. There's something about, okay, you know how you can like something because it's not great, but it's average, but so good at being average that somehow it becomes kind of great. My example of this is in the pizza world. When I was a kid, Stop and Shop was the place my mom went. And there was always hot slices of pizza. You could buy them by the slice in the back, by the deli section. It tasted like it was sitting in that cage all day, but somehow the averageness of it made it Right? And I crave that. And sometimes when I find a good pizza place that has that, I'm like, oh, you found the average, not really good taste, but made it good. Like, when I find that, I love that. I know. Everything I just said made sense in my mind. And I know as I was saying, I was like, bro, you did not connect any of these freaking dots, bro. Like, not even close. And I know I have you lost. I'm sorry. But there's something in that, and Kraft does that, where that's macaroni and cheese. KD dinner, I believe they call it north of the border in Canada, which is why that's on the list of reasons why we hate those people. But yeah, that's what they call it, KD dinner. Which that's wild. And that's I don't really get that one. But yeah, I'll take Kraft macaroni and cheese as the be all end all of that. If I could have any of them and pick. As a matter of fact, every time I buy one of the other ones, like Velveeta shells and cheese, it's good. I like it. Every time I get it, I'm like, oh, this is good. And I thought I wanted to get it because I always have Kraft macaroni and cheese. And then every time I eat one of the other ones, I think to myself, it's good. I like it. But there's a reason why I always get Kraft macaroni and cheese. Because that is macaroni and cheese. Now, if you make it from scratch and it's better and this and that, you know what I mean? Oh, none better, mama. I get it. Yes, you'd be right about all that. Right? You'd be right about that. But give me the Kraft. All right. So I saw this yesterday. And more often you see TV dads. Now maybe that's what I see because welcome to algorithms. I guess, right? Maybe that's it. And nobody gets remembered. And I talk about that a lot. And subjects like this kind of prove that I'm a little bit right. Now these people are, of course, fictional. But while I was growing up, this show was not from my era, but this woman would have still been considered to be the ultimate television mother. June Cleaver. She was the be-all end-all. She was the lady. Now, Mrs. Cunningham, yes, you could talk about it. Yes, Carol Brady, there's a couple. But June Cleaver had kind of been like the standard name people would use. Who hard on the B-Rod, right? Yeah, I mean, come on, right? Like, yes, right? The whole thing. Eddie Haskell was a term people would use for years and years and years. I said that about a year ago in front of some people. I said, yeah, I was like, well, he's pulling out his best Eddie Haskell. And like 3 people, like all, I think, between 19 and 21, just all whipped their heads around, looked right at me. I was like, you have Google, douchebags, look it up. Right? But I did. I got a little sad about that one. But nobody's going to list June Cleaver today. Or at least less people than ever would. If you ask my brother, it'd be Mrs. Cunningham. David loved Happy Days. Like, he loved Happy Days. Now, he was supposed to. That's who they made it for. I mean, literally, that's who they made that show for, was for David. So, like, of course, he loved that. But June Cleaver would have been very much at the top of the list of America's Favorite Moms. She's not on this. This is interesting to me. When you ask me about television mothers, I think about what do I think a good mother to be. So, like, Peg Bundy isn't going to come to the front of my mind. Like, Al Bundy wouldn't come to the front of my mind of, like, best TV dads. It's a great television character. And Tony Soprano's a character I can't stop loving. Loved his kids. Sorry for the spoiler. Sorry on that one. Sorry. To me, that's not a good dad. It's a good television character. Cool. Can you believe he did that? Don't want that to be my dad. Right? I don't think we want that. So mentioning that, Daenerys Targaryen comes in second here. Now, for a lot of you, you know what I just said. But plenty of you, I just spoke Greek. Daenerys Targaryen is the mother of dragons from Game of Thrones. I mean, she's the breaker of chains, and she's, all of these things, and, what people now will call, after the show's over, and they don't need it for their clicks and views anymore. Not while they do, but they just need it in a different manner. So what she is now is the ultimate portrayal of the white savior complex. That's what Daenerys Targaryen is now that they no longer. Isn't that fun? Fun game we're playing, right? And so, but what about her? What? what about Daenerys Targaryen makes you want? Again, how people answer these is interesting to me. Great television character. Oh, not really. But I mean, she was pretty good, right? Take all that. But that's like saying that's like saying Cersei's a good mother. Cersei slept with her own brother and plotted to kill everybody in her own family. That's not a good mother. Great television character, Cersei. By the way, sorry to ruin Game of Thrones for you. Sorry to do that. Cersei's a mess. You know what I mean? Great television character. Horrible mother. Now, where you get on the line, on the border, is a character. Now, this is so weird to get in depth, and let's take a look. And around the second, and if you really look. But Marge Simpson's an interesting one. Because that house is a mess. I don't mean like the cleanliness of it, but it's a disaster zone, that house. If there is a morality center in it, it is Lisa, parenting Homer and Marge more often than not. If that meme, why does it look like Jack Black's son is walking him to school? Because he is. Because his father is an eternal teenager who will never see the north side of 50. He'll see it in age, he will never see it in mentality. A lot of people like that, that's fine. But his son is walking him to school. Why does it look like that? Because that's what's happening. Right? And so that does go down. And if Lisa's the morality center, the Marge is a weird one because she's well-intentioned. Loves her family, loves her husband. You can make the argument, and I think a lot of women today will. Standing by Homer to her bulldog.
The Stansberry Show.
I've heard many a loon, and if there ever was a loon, that is a loon.
On Rock 1069.
Next hour, we'll take a look at some of the most misspelled words for you and me. Take a look at that. What we have been talking about was, TV moms, television moms. And, these lists come out and they're designed so people go, no, right? I mean, they're kind of, but they tell me here, all right, let me give you this is 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll give you, all right, here's your top 4 from this list. Marge Simpson, to me, it's questionable. Again, she's a great character, and that's just it. We kind of talked about that, is like how people are answering this. Are these actually great mothers or just really good television characters? Because it's Marge Simpson from The Simpsons, obviously. I don't think everybody will know this. A lot of you may know Parenthood. She was in that. She was great in that. Not necessarily the best mother in Parenthood, but she was good in that. But I've never seen that. My buddy, I used to hang out at my buddy's house. Newlywed. She watched that, and I remember thinking to myself, like, dude, I'm pretty sure I should move to Hollywood because, like, if people are watching this kind of stuff, I think writing this might be kind of easy, right? Like, I was like, I didn't get that. Anyway, so it's Marge Simpson, Lorelai Gilmore, Daenerys Targaryen. Dude, she was the mother of dragons, for crying out loud. Like, I'm sorry, that's a cool television character, not a great mother. The Addams Family. Now, somehow, she's one of those characters that's like kind of cold, and it comes off as grace. You know what I mean? And I don't know the Addams Family well enough to know the parenting skills. You mentioned this show. Now, obviously, to Danielle Fisher, right? That's how hot she is. Right there. That is how hot she is. Yeah, that's how hot she is for a straight guy. You'll remember her name, right? Kind of one of those things. I hope I did have that right. Anyway, apparently the mom on that. The parents really bring... I don't remember them really as part of that. To me, that show's about the kids. So I did put together, and if you ask me, this is like my favorite Kiss song. This is like my favorite, favorite movie or whatever. Any couple of months, I may have a completely different list for you. But I did think about this a little bit last night. So I started with Sophia, is who I started with. You think of her as why I wanted to go with that was because of how often Elise Keaton was talked about in my home. That show was a big hit. And apparently, the woman my father had been dating most recently before meeting my mother again, they had dated when they were in 7th grade. But after meeting her again, after coming home from most recently, he had been dating a woman who kind of looked like Elise Keaton. And more often than not, like my mother, while on the couch, I think my dad probably dealt with a lot. I feel like I heard it a lot, and some side eye looks. So like she was a big deal in my house, and I loved her. But what I swapped her out, and I went with, and I don't think you would think of this as a mother right out of the gate. You would think of her as a wife first. But Deborah from Everybody Loves Raymond, to an idiot, a well-intentioned idiot. He doesn't want to be bad at it. He's just as bad at being good at it. And I feel like that's a lot of guys. And so Deborah feels like, I feel like you know Deborah. Like Deborah's in Giant Eagle every day with me. I feel it, and so it hit very home with me. And I also thought she was very funny. And if you get me funny, I'm gonna find my ways to wrap around. I mean, Raymond, even in the introduction of the show, says it's not really about the kids. So it's weird to go with her. You'd almost should maybe swap her out back for Elise Keaton. But I love that character. I almost went with Raymond's mother because I feel like he tried to kill her son. That's crazy. She's just a cool character, not a great mom. But as people feel like they had Tony Soprano's mom, I feel like a lot of people feel like they had Raymond's mom. Right? The overbearing, well-intentioned, I love you, I'm going to kill you, but the kindness, that whole thing. But I'll take Deborah. And then in my number 2 slot, I am going to go with Claire Huxtable. Now, this is interesting. I forget who it was, but somebody mentioned it in the comments here. Let me see if I can find it, if it's in one of the, I don't know which one it is. Somebody had said, well, didn't you tell me once that Claire Huxtable loses points because of the Cosby effect? Well, yes, I did. And what I mean is, I believe, I don't remember exactly what I said. I'm lucky enough to have done a lot of these. That I believe why you don't see her on lists as much as you used to is because of the Cosby effect, because it brings up an uncomfortable conversation. I went with, I'm setting it aside because it's Claire Huxtable. It has nothing to do. She was great. And you kind of saw her on TV and you felt like, if that was my mom, I love it. And she balanced that house great, and she balanced her career and her kids great. Probably like that article, you could write that, right? The unrealistic expectation Claire Huxtable is setting for young women in America today. But I loved her. And that show, we now, because of the Cosby effect, just that whole thing's been memory hold. And it's almost crazy because there were few shows that were a bigger hit than that. It's unfortunate what has happened to her because of what Bill Cosby did. That's unfortunate what happened to her. Almost why I put her in the 2 slot. And then at my number 1, I've said this a million times, I felt like Tim and Jill were my parents. I felt like that was his quote. I remember when I turned on the TV, I was like, yeah, there they are. There's Dean and Sue right there. And so Jill feels very much like my mother to me, which I hate saying this to you now, because the woman who played Jill's kind of, I don't know if I'd go so far as to call her sexy, but she's an attractive woman. She's a good-looking woman. And so that, I feel that weird. I don't think my mother's good-looking, and I don't have a hang-up about it. I think if we figured anything out, if I got a hang-up about one of the parents, it's Dad, right? Like, for sure, if anything has been well-established. But I'll take Jill from Home Improvement. Again, make sure the trains are running on time, trapped in there with 3 absolute animals. And I mean animals. And that's kind of what my mom had. Now, there was only the, you know what I mean? Oh, there's 4 of them. They had the 3 boys thing. My mom only had the 3. 2 boys and the husband. A little upset with his work and a little of this and well-intentioned, but screwed it up constantly. But news down as probably, I don't know if the best, but my favorite TV.
The Stansberry Show.
Would you mind speaking in a civilized language?
On Rock 1069.
Take a look at some of the most misspelled words next hour here on the Stansberry Show. Spelling wasn't really my issue. Punctuation can kind of be like, I don't know, there's a lot of them. Exclamation point, period, comma, we're good. Where do they go? Nobody knows. The spelling I was usually pretty good at, but we will take a look at a list. On your socials, the Stansberry Show, people reaching out about TV moms. The list we saw here had, okay, let me run you through the entire list. Lois Griffin, bottom. Renee Perry. I don't even know if I know. Sophia Petrillo. And now, again, I had Sophia. That being from the Golden Girls. Sarah Connor? Yeah, all right. Aunt May, Marge Simpson, Lorelai Gilmore, Daenerys Targaryen, and Morticia Adams. Now, if you ask me, these are cool. Most of these are cool television characters, not necessarily great moms. I was trying to go for good moms. Because, all right, a lot of people hit me with Gemma from Sons of Anarchy. Okay, that's an interesting mother figure, without a doubt. Right? Great mom? Well, no. No. I mean, she tried to kill her son's fiance. So, like, no. Not a good one. Great television. We'll give you that. Much like, I mean, the ultimate version of that is, of course, Mrs. Soprano. Great television. But conspired with her brother-in-law to kill her son. Because of how he was running the business. Because he went and got help. Not because it was going to ruin the mafia business, but because it was going to ruin his relationship with her. I'm sorry, that is anything but a good mother. Now, I know a lot of people fast forward through the therapy sessions of The Sopranos, you know, missing the whole entire point of the show. I mean, good God. I don't want to watch it for its purpose, man. Fast forward. I mean, good God. But, like, she's not a good mother. She's a great television character. Those are not the same thing. Now, they can overlap and often do, and that's how they become some of your favorite TV moms. Some of the ones I had skipped here was Kitty from that 70s show. Loved her kids. Realistic about her kids. Knew her daughter was an idiot. That was interesting about that, right? Is because, like, Dad was played in there, and that's kind of, they played the stereotype perfectly. Dad in the dark about his idiot, kind of slutty daughter. Mom knew exactly who she was. Dad thinks the son's the dope, and Mom kind of knows. No, dude, it's all our eggs in his basket, bro, or we're screwed, right? She was great at that, and the voice and the thing, and she probably played a 70s mom pretty well. Yeah, I'll give you Kitty. You know, it's weird about that is like, okay, I'll give you another one kind of like that. The Wonder Years, remember? Not to unpack there. We're never all that great. So that's not to knock people who are trying to make it great like it used to be. It's to tell people who are too young to know, who think it was just all bed and roses for your parents and your grandparents. No, it was not. They literally had to create fake television to get people's minds off the fact that you couldn't walk down the street without getting murdered in most American cities in the 70s. So make it great again and take them to Arnold's. Here comes the Fonz. And before long, the gimmick ran out, so they got his dumbass out there jumping over sharks in leather jackets for crying out loud. I mean, that's what happened. And that's what the Wonder Years was too. Oh, remember back in the day? Remember the 60s? Remember going to the moon? Remember getting bus stop? Remember when you saw her move in across the street? Make it great again, Dad. That's what both of those shows are. That's both of us. That's what All in the Family was. Because that's what entertainment is. Don't look out that window, baby. Life gets a little messy out there. You just stare at this box. We'll make it all nice and clean for you.
The Stansberry Show.
I touch their hearts and souls with humor, with love.
Pull out some AC/DC before the end of the program. Get you ready for that show tonight. Anybody who may be going, happy pregame a touch. Kind of wish I was more. I'm not. That's fine. I've had the pleasure. Normally a great show. AC/DC. That tonight at Huntington Bank Field. Did give out tickets all morning on Friday. So some of you are going. That we know for sure. All right, so I read this article yesterday, and he represented the repository in the National Spelling Bee. Blaise Blacketer, I believe. And unfortunately, the story does not end as we would all hope with him winning the National Spelling Bee. He misspelled, I believe, his first word. Now, not on the kid. Not even a little bit. Because I did not even know the word he misspelled was a word until I read the article talking about him being in the spelling bee. Right? So probably shouldn't jump up and down on him. By the way, I went to dictionary.com I'm going to play this for you. I did that on my phone. I have the app, but I have the pronunciation here for you. This is how the AI voice will say it to you. Sprechstimme, I believe, is what she's saying here. Sprechstimme, which, according to the repository, is, quote, a vocal passage or performance in which a declamation is delivered with rhythmic inflections. So, yeah, I don't know why I would ever have known that word, or why he would have known that. But unfortunately, I missed it. But it got me to thinking while I was reading that last night. That spelling, I'm going to guess, is one of those things people are not as good at as they once were. And I'm gonna blame the same thing I always blame, and it will be yourself. No! Right? Like, you can, because you know you can just go get the thing. I don't know if I love that. Now, it's not maybe a problem for all of you. It does seem to have affected me that way. I think for a lot of you, it would be more noticeable like this. You knew a lot of phone numbers when you were a kid. You were able to remember 50 of them. Now, and so I bet spelling has kind of taken a hit in this regard. And I think I'm right. I told you about this young man, not to jump up and down on him, but to make the point of, that was a word I did not know was a word until I read that article. So not being able to pronounce it or spell it, I'm not shocked that I was like, well, gee, I wonder what I get here. And when I wanted to look at what a recent study tells me are the most misspelled words in the country, it was a little depressing because all of these words I know, so do you, and I can pronounce them all, he said before he stumbles over his words while talking live. But all of these words you know, and I believe most people could spell once upon a time. Maybe can even do it now. Or these words are too common, is what I'm saying. Here's your top 10 most misspelled words in the country. Restaurant. Now, I will tell you, as a decent speller, that one occasionally when I was much, much younger would be like, wait, is it A-N-T? You can maybe get me in there. All right, we're going to do it because apparently a lot of people don't know. R-E-S-T. A-U-R-A-N-T. You know what's crazy about the world now? I double-checked all of these spellings to make sure this article had them right. I swear to God. I was like, make sure they have it right. That's number 10. Number 9 is favorite. Favorite. Now, I should not maybe say it like that, because there are people who just struggle with spelling. It's something they just can't keep straight. Much like, I gotta be honest with you, math wasn't my favorite subject. I don't think it makes me an idiot. I don't think it makes me stupid. It's not, my brain doesn't work like that. My brain works better with this type of stuff. So maybe I should be a little careful there, just because this comes naturally to me. But if you had somebody in here talking about math, they'd be like, well, Sandsbury's an idiot, because that comes natural to them. 8th most misspelled word, business, B-U-S-I-N-E-S-S. Neighbor, number 7. N-E-I-G-H-B-O-R. Now, how did they do this? It was done by how many searches were done for these words. Gorgeous. Now, again, we're getting a little bit closer to a word people don't use a lot, are probably reaching for a word instead of saying, ha, right? And are trying to figure out, and don't want to look dumb, so you start searching for it. Gorgeous. G-O-R-G-E-O-U-S. Here's your top 5 most misspelled words in the country. Through. Now, I believe that texting has done this. As a guy who will knock abbreviators, I abbreviate this word all the time to the T-H-R-U, which, of course, that's not. It's T-H-R-O-U-G-H. That is through, right? Believe is a word I don't believe people don't know how to spell, because of how many times it's used in slogans, and this person, and vote here, and believe, and hope, and this. Nah, I don't buy it. But for those of you that may struggle, it's B-E-L-I-E-V-E. All right, this one I could believe a little bit more that people may struggle with. Necessary. N-E-C-E-S-S-A-R-Y. Necessary is how you spell that. All right. Top 2, most misspelled words in the country, separate. Number 2, S-E-P-A-R-A-T-E. I'm going to guess most people screw that up thinking it's S-E-P-E-R-A-T-E. I'm going to guess that's how people screw that one up. I wish they told me that. It does not tell me how you're misspelling these things. The number 1 most misspelled word in this country is a word people overuse, including me. Definitely. And you're misspelling it now because DEF will get it done. And it will get it done. Boomer. Another E in there between the L and the Y. And that's where a lot of your misspellings are coming from. That would be my guess there. I would also maybe say that after the N instead of the I, people may throw an A in there. I've seen some wild spellings when people... Now, it's always curious to me when people send things in because the voice to text does a lot of you no favors. So I'm like, wait, are they having a stroke when they send this? And I'm like, oh, no, AI thinks they know what they want to say. And that can sometimes get in people's way there. But I think I just recently updated my iPhone, and the autocorrect is worse than it's ever been. I'm anywhere in that sentence. Like, it's getting bad. And I think, people once upon a time said math wouldn't matter because you were going to have the calculator everywhere you went. And if you want to care about how things work and algorithms and systems, they all run on math. So that part, it still absolutely matters. But I think the emojis and the keyboards and the 3-letter abbreviation for the words is getting us to the point where spelling it. I don't want this to be true, but I believe it is. It matters a lot less than it used to. I hate the fact that it's true, but it is kind of true. It is kind of true, especially when you think about I don't want to list the number because I should have looked this up, but once upon a time, I read a stat that was alarming to me. I think it was approaching 40% of people never read another book after they graduate high school. That is crazy. That is crazy. When you think about how many books there are and the subject matters they're in, you don't have to read the most boring. You don't have to read War and Peace. You know what I mean? You can read a lot. As a matter of fact, I told you not that long ago I read a book about a guy named Mike Campbell, who was Tom Petty's guitarist. Right? It's called Heartbreaker. It's a great book. I loved it. Now, I like the Heartbreakers. They're like my favorite band ever. So, I love them. And so I'm into it. But you wouldn't necessarily think, oh, Mike Campbell's going to be like this really bright and well-read guy. Because he doesn't come off like it. But that book, 7 times, made me go, what in the hell is that? Put it down, look, dictionary. Wait, that's what that word means? Nice, Mike, I like that. Right? It'll happen. It will happen every time. And I think that is ultimately, this is why, people complain about, and I can complain about government spending. Normally, I'm like, nah, dude, can we kind of keep the library where it is? That way people can keep pronouncing that word properly.
The Stansberry Show.
I just wish I hadn't drunk all that cough syrup.
On Rock 106.9.
Welcome back to the program. I'm on your socials, The Stansberry Show. We've been talking about the top 10 most misspelled words in this country. Some of you wanted to point out how hilarious it is that this country, of all of them, can't spell the word restaurant. That's fair. I missed that one. That was some low-hanging fruit I missed. Shout out to the audience there. You guys are right. Because I would imagine mostly people are still searching by type. Now, so you can do that. I'm not sure if that's how most people are doing it. I bet that talked about how I believe what's happening here with spelling is a lot like your parents used to know how to get everywhere because they had to know. Now you don't. So your brain kind of tells you, you don't need to know this. Just Google it. You're fine. I'll be going somewhere Friday night. I have been there enough times to where, and it's not that difficult, where I should know for sure. But when I get just close enough, I'm going to double check to make sure I'm right. Now, a lot of you are going to want to blame that on the marijuana. All right. It's not holding none of the bag. I'll tell you that, right? If my inability to remember where I'm going is a casket, you know what I mean? That, yes, it would be more than one pallbearer is going to carry it. And marijuana may be a pallbearer there. Fair enough. That is fair. I do think the bulk of it is my brain knows this. Right? Kind of one of those things. That much like that, I think that's what's happening with our ability to spell. that if you actually gave somebody pen and paper, I don't know why I think this, that if you forced them to spell it and they did not have their phone, said, I don't care how long it takes, spell this word, they're going to get it right. Am I crazy? I think this is people don't give themselves enough credit. And they give up too easily. And go, I'll give up, fine, ask the answer machine, they'll tell me. I think that's what this is. Now, they did break it down by state. They broke it down by state. Let me see here. Huh, that's interesting for Ohio. I guess that would be interesting for anywhere. Maine. Number 19 was Maine. Well, that's they're going by alphabetical order here. Let me see here. Maine. Pneumonia. Okay. Kentucky. Good Lord, Kentucky. They had trouble spelling people. Well, when you've never met any regular people, maybe. I guess. Good Lord. Illinois was congratulations. Really? Illinois? That's where Northwestern is. Like, I'm shocked by that. I'm shocked by that. The fact that Kansas struggled with difference, all right, fair enough. California, appreciation. Alabama, different is the word. Like, people do struggle with this one. I don't, but some people struggle to spell tomorrow, and apparently Alaska does. And I think the reasoning is because for 6 months it's either light or dark. They literally don't have days there. There is no tomorrow, right? And so they don't even need that word. For crying out loud. And so they don't need it. And so that does not surprise me there. Wyoming. Oh my God, this is absolutely insane. Wyoming, the word that they struggle to spell the most, is what is the number one word you would use to describe Wyoming. Beautiful. Now I know Wyoming, middle of nowhere. If you ever been, it's amazing. It is amazing. Wyoming's great. So is Montana. Both of those places are beautiful. The fact that they can't spell the word that would best describe them is absolute insanity. Now, again, Ohio struggled with restaurant, I guess. That's not our most misspelled word. We will get to it here in a second. Let me see here. Oh, let me see. I live there. Let's make fun of Oregon. Business. Well, yeah, their government's about as anti-small business as you can get. One of the reasons I ended up packing up and going, all right, I love this place. It's beautiful to look at, but these people are nuts. Get me the hell out of here. I mean, it was a full-on assault on your pocketbook every single day in that place. So I'm not surprised that they can't spell that word. I'm not surprised by that one. All right, Ohio, what is it? Crochet. Options. Now this one, Carolyn, 29. She's 29. I don't think this is the best advice for all of you. I think some women have come out of the nerdy closet and we're always like, yeah, I'm kind of hot and I'm like they've come out of that a little bit. It's not the bulk of women. It isn't. She said, I don't know about she also, by the way, she's almost 30 and says this, I don't know about other girls. Huh. Well, that's interesting because you're 30 and what she's saying is she wants her man to wear a Batman onesie. Well, you're right. You're a girl. I don't know what other women might want, but what another girl wants, it would be that. So she's right about her and the people. But she says, when you try to look sexy, you come off looking like a douchebag. Well, I think it's going to depend on who you are. I think if I try to take a picture and look sexy, I'm going to come off looking like a douchebag because I'm not sexy. That's why I do this. This is my talent. You don't think I wanted to be on TV? Bro, come on. You don't think I wanted to be on TV? Of course I did. But I look like this. So I go here, right? And by the way, back in the day when I got into this business, you could tell people that. And I wasn't allowed to sue anybody because the judge would have been like, look in the mirror, you douchebag. And it would have been like, yeah, back and forth, back and forth. No. It was nice, right? Hot tub and a ice. I like this. But it just never felt right. Especially in that town where it's like there are more than enough hotel rooms. where I'm going to get more and better access to things than I will with an Airbnb. I don't want to be in somebody else's home. I don't want to be in your refrigerator. It's weird. Now, more than enough really somebody's house. Yes, there's ownership at place, but nobody really lives there. Okay, that would be better, I suppose. I still don't like it. Give me the hotel. It's a preference. I mention it because a family is now suing Airbnb yet again to Scottsdale. Man, wife, their 2 sons. They go to Scottsdale. Apparently, this goes back to spring training for baseball. That's a big trip for people. You go out to Scottsdale, you see teams kind of play, you're in Arizona, it's nice, and right? Okay, fair enough. So apparently, they get into the home. They unpack, as people will do. And the husband and wife, after traveling with their 2 sons, need a minute. We're going to take a beat, right? Like, otherwise, we're going to kill these things. So it's like a little lay down on the bed, just eyes closed for a couple of minutes, deep breath, and we'll get on with our vacation. Dad has a hard time unwinding. Eyes open, staring at the ceiling. He claims that while looking at the ceiling, he can tell something's off with that smoke, with the smoke detector. Something's off with it. So sure enough, she tells him, "You're nuts. You're crazy. You're fine. What is it? You always think you know. You just think you know." So homie wakes up early and does the Google search. Sure enough, finds the exact smoke detector. Sure enough, they do come standard, hidden camera inside. So I reach up, I pull it down and confirm. Sure enough, there's an SD card slot in it. And it is, in fact, Wi-Fi images of he and his wife. But he started freaking out. Because what if it's streamed to the computer? What if he's accessing this? What if he's watching us remotely? Meaning the homeowner, which of course he was. So I call the cops. They told him, "We'll be in contact with you in a few days." My guess is that's not going to be the response you would want to hear. If you were worried somebody had video of your children, let's say, Angel, right? Yeah, probably don't want that. Now, a statement from Airbnb. Quote, "Hidden cameras have always been and will always be banned on Airbnb. We support the guests and suspend the host from the platform. We stand ready to assist law enforcement." I will give them their credit. But the problem is, and this is what I've said about cameras taking over security for the world, it's already done. What does it matter? They have video of this family. Great, you suspended this person, but you haven't caught them all. You know you have. And more than that, how much you want that? A law is my house. I have a right to predict. You don't have to put it. It's my house. I'm a homeowner. You don't know what people are going to do. I have the right. How much you want to bet? That viewpoint is now going to shift into a dangerous territory there, where I should be able to film your kids. Crazy. You think I'm crazy? How many arguments have I come in here and told you, you will see this in 3 years? You have told me I'm nuts, and in 3 years you're like, "Oh my God, bro, it is worse than you said it was going to be. They are acting worse than you told us." Right. Right. Plenty of subjects. A lot of you think you know which ones I'm talking about because you think I'm awful already, because you want to think I'm awful. You're dead ass wrong about what you think, about what those examples would be. But I have given you more than a few. What does it matter? This is when people say, you don't need cops on the street. We have security cameras. The criminal thinks he's going to get away, and you're still dead on the floor. What does the camera do for that? Nothing. This is about masturbating. Absolutely not protection of your things, because you're not even supposed to have it. So what are you going to do when something happens to the house? Oh, by the way, we were secretly recording all of it. This is about masturbating, don't lie. If this was a roadside motel, you park at the door. Sorry, moon mist, but you're going to take one in the chin right here. Right? Like you go to the moon mist and you find out this is happening. Is it because they want to protect the roadside motel? Isn't it? But I can sue a hotel chain. Airbnb puts out the statement like, we suspended the user, action taken, confidence restored. Not for me, it isn't.
The Stansberry Show.
I just want to say I listen to your show all the time, and I really, really hate you.
on Rock 1069.
9 a.m. New Tour Tuesday gets kicked off with MGK. Do have new deadlines too. Throw in some Chris Stapleton around about 9 a.m. Bringing that back, I believe, for the first time of 2025. Almost halfway through the year there. If at first you don't succeed, try again, they say. We will do that. Got a little carried away while talking about Airbnb. This couple in Scottsdale. Well, no, they're actually from Little Rock, but they went to Scottsdale. And Dad noticed he felt like something was up with the smoke detector in the main bedroom. I believe is what we refer to it. While he was laying down, wife goes, "You're nuts." So the next morning he wakes up, he Googles. He kind of takes the thing down, he Googles, and sure enough, there's an SD card in this, slot in it. It's Wi-Fi accessible and the whole thing. And so he puts the SD card in the computer, and he's trying to get the images off of it. But he's like, "Is this thing's Wi-Fi accessible?" He's like, meaning this guy's probably been, the homeowner has been watching this. And if you put it in one room, you're going to put it in, you know what I mean? And so that whole thing. And so Airbnb, of course, tells you, well, we suspended that user. Like, they're not allowed to be on the platform now. Yeah, all right. So create a new user profile. Now, I guess maybe if you block the address, that's going to be the way that Airbnb is going to do that. Okay, fair enough. But people are less than satisfied, and I would be too. Now, I'm more pro hotel. Remember when Airbnb came out, it was going to disrupt the system, and it was going to make everything so much better for you, the end user. But the problem is that when everybody promises you all of those things, what they are always so short-sighted about is how terrible you and I really are. You know what I mean? And what they don't realize is there's a reason why hotels run the way they are. It's to protect us from one another. Them from us. And there's also some, you kind of want to use this thing and we have it and this and that. So yes, that's why things are expensive too. More than one reason. I'm more pro hotel. I just think it's the better system. I just do. Now, with spy cams as cheap as they are, you're not really protected from this anywhere. I think the Hilton has less of a reason. Okay, now I may be making hotels too much about Las Vegas, but Vegas doesn't give a good goddamn what you're doing in that room. What they want to do is study every last thing you do when you're outside of it. Because gambling might not be your thing, but they have more than one way to get the money out of your pocket. So they are going to watch you and figure out how you walk around that maze. Oh, on the third day, we'll get her here with this honey bun right here. Like, yes, that's for sure happening. There are people who get paid to do that to those guests in Las Vegas. For sure. A buddy of mine does it. So, yes, but they don't give a damn what you're doing in the room. I mean, don't get me wrong. Kill a hooker up there, you're going to hear about it. But, they don't, the reverse cowgirl? They don't care. They don't. Now, I'm making hotels maybe too much about that, but I don't think the Hilton really gives a damn. Less than the perv. The Hilton's more likely to screw me over on the credit card bill than they are with, watching me. Now, the desk clerk who works for the hotel, okay. Like I said, you're not safe from this given how cheap this technology is. Fair. I just like I do like the hotel system a little bit. If I'm honest, I don't love how I feel about Airbnb. I really like freedom for freedom's sake. Most of the time, right? Your house, you don't get to tell me what you get to do with it, and I should be right? I can hear a lot of those arguments. I could hear this one too, though. Is it your house if you haven't paid for it yet? It's your house because you still have your job. Is it your house when you lose it? Is my house if I lose my job? No. My house for a while. Not mine. Not mine. It's not even the banks who gave it to me. They sold my loan to somebody else. You know what I mean? So it's not now. The real freedom, person out there is going to be it's not even your house what you pay for. You're still paying property taxes on a house you paid off and this and that. And I get to listen to that argument too. But let's go back a few steps. If somebody wanted to say you're not allowed to Airbnb a property until it's paid off, I got to be honest with you, I think I could hear it. Because I want that. I don't want my neighbors to do that. I don't. But freedom's sticky, right? Because my neighbor has it too. Right. I don't like how I feel, but I do feel it. Tyler brings up a more disturbing point. He doesn't think I was thinking about people being evil enough. Okay, we're talking about somebody watching. everybody change or whatever people are doing in a house. Again, this couple had their 2 sons with them. He said, what if it's not the homeowner? He said, if you rented your house out to somebody via Airbnb and they changed the smoke detectors in your house, would you know? Like, probably not. And I wouldn't. As a matter of fact, I could take every smoke detector in my house down today and nobody would know I did it other than me. He's like, so what it could be, Dan, is it's not the homeowner, it's somebody else who stayed there. And they are watching everything. And they already, and that how many families were victimized by this camera before this couple? He's like, that's the bigger problem. He's like, is that now humans are going into these homes and yes, using them like their own. Meaning, he's like, and then you have access. He's like, yo. So now all of a sudden, we're in a weird situation. Because are we going to end up banning like Airbnb hosts over the actions of what a previous guest has done? Because watch how easy it could be done. Well, you're the homeowner. Buck stops with you. You're kind of supposed to be knowing what's going on in your home. I want to put a camera up in there so I can watch what's going on outside my house, but you tell me I'm not allowed to be doing that. Yeah. I don't know, man. Maybe sit outside with binoculars, look through the window. You peeping Tom! I mean, like, dude, like, I mean, how do you fix this? Is it that you know there are cameras up in common spaces of a home? But we don't do it in the bedrooms or the bathrooms, though. Yes, it's standard they're up in the, well, what's really a common space is the next one. You see what I'm saying? Tyler's right. This problem is actually bigger and scarier than we even think it is. And again, I hate to beat this guy. Tuesday morning, first day back on the job, sucker punch to the gut. But there's only 10,000 websites dedicated to showing you where all the sex perverts in your neighborhood live. Because you have to accept a lot of things, especially these days, that come with being a fan. Because ultimately, we are talking about people. And people are complex. Most asked of somebody doing a great thing. Of somebody doing a great thing. Right? Because we want to feel good about who it is. I watched, there's a docu-series, it's called Untold, and there's a docu-series, it's called Untold, and Netflix has these. And last night, I started watching Untold, The Fall of Favre, Brett Favre. Now, Brett Favre, for the longest time, had been the absolute golden boy of the NFL, and could almost do no wrong. And in the series, or in the show, they kind of talked about, well, yeah, man, he's kind of what people want their quarterback to be, though. You know, he told her, I just seen you around. That, I'm sorry. That, I gotta tell you, that is ego on a whole nother level. Now, plenty of women would have been like, right there. And that's why he thought he could do it. And all the more reason why he kept going after the one who wouldn't just go. Had to have it. That's the touchdown completion I can't make. I'm going to keep throwing this ball until I do. That's what he did. He showed that woman his penis. And they had never been in the same room together. Now, that is her claim. And people want to disbelieve her because of how she got famous. She talked about it. She was bartending all day. And people had been spilling beer and drinks on her and all that stuff. So she took her shirt off and just wore her bikini top to the game. And Brett Musburger had talked about her. And then Deadspin was like, hey, here's the cowgirl and blah, blah, blah. And it kind of took off. And she kind of became like the first female influencer around the sports world like that. I don't know about the first, but she kind of blew up that way. She did. I remember that whole thing at Deadspin, like, dude, you had to see her and look at this and that thing. And here's the thing. She's above average good looking. Like, she's not necessarily the hottest woman you've ever seen, but like, she did look good enough and to go viral for sure. And she made this point, and I thought it was interesting. She goes, that was before the algorithm was really pushing everything. She goes, people were pushing me. And I was like, that's cocky, but she's 1,000% right. She goes, with all due respect, I must have been the home wrecker in this. And I don't think that they did her any favors by having Jemele Hill be the one to kind of speak up for her in that segment of that series. I did not. I like Jemele, but more than enough people don't. And I was like, oh, you could have found a better female sympathetic figure from the media here. And I thought that was a questionable decision. But she kind of talked about how he was allowed to get over all of that. That was fine. That the advertisers didn't leave and he could still be copper fit and he could still be, because, whatever.